शारदचन्द्रसुन्दरमुखम् ताम्रारविन्देक्षणम् भक्ताभीष्टवराभयप्रदकरम् कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् आत्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवद्याङ्गकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणेश्वरं गुरुवरम् योगासनाध्यासितम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जतव पवनचलनरोधात् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। Namo Ramana. We will commence the Friday Atma Vicharam by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham, and we have been reading his Upadesham from the book Ramana Answers, Self-Enquiry 1900 to 1950, a compilation of all the questions put on the subject matter of Atma Vichara by various devotees to Bhagavan and Bhagavan's answers to it. This wonderful compilation has been done by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. And after reading this week's question and answer, we will meditate on it by the grace of Bhagavan, and then we will have a 20 minutes Atma Vichara session. Following that, our President Dr. Sarada would be speaking about Atma Vichara as it has been contemplated in Ramana Gita, which is a compilation of, again, question and answers put to Bhagavan by many devotees by Ganapati Muni in Sanskrit. And then we will have the concluding prayers to Bhagavan. And in this series of question and answers that we are looking from the book Self-Enquiry 1900 to 1950, we are in the questions put to Bhagavan between 1936 to 1950, and we are in the 100th question today. So the devotee is asking, how much sleep does a gnani require? The question is, how much sleep does a gnani require? Bhagavan's answer, sleep is necessary to one who thinks, I have arisen from sleep. But to those who are ever in changeless sleep, what need is there for some other sleep? When the eyelids feel strained, it will do to close the eyes for a while. The three states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep are for the mind and not for the body. I repeat Bhagavan's beautiful answer. Sleep is necessary to one who thinks as though, like within quotes, I have arisen from sleep. But to those who are ever in changeless sleep, what need is there for some other sleep? When the eyelids feel strained, it will do to close the eyes for a while. The three states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep are for the mind and not for the body. In this answer, Bhagavan is clarifying a couple of things very beautifully for all of us. First of all, he is making it very, very clear that the sleep, waking, and the dream, which we think taking ourselves to be the body, happens in the body. But he is saying all these three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep is for the mind. So the body is like a yantra, like a machine which is not capable of doing anything. It doesn't wake, doesn't sleep, nor dream. It is like a log of wood, something which is very, very jada. But the waking, dream, and deep sleep are for the mind, says Bhagavan. So the mind is where we are awake. It is the mind in which we are dreaming. It is in the mind that we sleep to objects. Now, Bhagavan is saying here, all these three states are, it is not a conscious effort if we see our dreaming, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. These three happen automatically. We are awake as the sun rises, and then we feel tired and we slip to sleep. And in the sense, the mind slips to sleep. And then in the sleep, the mind may have a dream. Now, in all these three states of the mind, Bhagavan and all the Upanishads very beautifully say it is the influence of the Triguna, the Rajoguna being predominantly high whenever there is activity. Therefore, obviously, all of the waking state, the mind is strongly influenced by the Rajoguna. And in the sleep, it is influenced by the Tamoguna. It is it is free of thoughts at that point in time. But yet, the mind is turned towards the objects. The mind is still active. And in the dream, it is in the state of, again, a mixture of rajas and tamas. And in the pure state, when we meditate and try to get back, then we let go these other two gunas, the Rajoguna and the Tamoguna, which causes waking, dream, and sleep, and we hold on to the Sattva Guna. And when we actually get into Samadhi, even for a minute, when we become one with the transcendental truth that we are, even the Sattva Guna of the mind goes away. So there will be no mind in that state. What is only the pure self, the pure Sat. So when we read, I was listening to Swami Sarvapriyananda ji, and he was very beautifully explaining the importance of Shravana Manana. See, the Shravana, when we read this text, then the Manana, we have to do what is being said so that we get a clear grasp of the truth. Only when we get the clear grasp of the truth, then we can use it to get the nididhyasana. then only we can practice. So the practice is we have to become Triguna Atita. We have to get to that state which is the Atita of all the three gunas. But obviously, the Sattva Guna is the channel through which we can enter that Atita state. So, Atma Vichara, what we do is by turning within, by inquiring to whom is this, who am I? When we turn our attention to the pure Sat by inquiring who am I, then we hold on to the Sattva Guna. Bhagavan says it's like a dog which sniffs and gets back to the master. We hold on to that, and all we need to be watchful is we have to diligently, even in there may be very, very subtle thoughts, and we need to simply let go them. Even that is all, therefore, all thoughts, whether it is very grossly appearing or very subtly appearing as to am I doing it right and am I doing it correct, or oh, this is working very nicely. All thoughts, even a positive thought in that subtle state, because it is also having it is having the guna, and the truth of ours is guna atita. We need to be diligently watchful. Therefore, Atma Vichara is something that we want to very diligently do until all the thoughts, we become completely free of all objects, and then what is alone shines. Pure Sattva alone shines. And that Bhagavan calls it as the changeless sleep, where there is no change and there is complete abiding in one's own self. And in there, where is the need for sleep? Where is the mind which requires waking, dream, and sleep? There is no such thing, no such entity at all. So Bhagavan is saying that is the state of the Gnani. So when the question is how much sleep does a Gnani require, the Gnani is ever in that changeless sleep. He is conscious, which Bhagavan calls it as a conscious sleep. He is completely conscious, is completely in that state of conscious, because without consciousness we cannot recognize anything. So when we are diligently practicing, obviously it is in the state of conscious, but attending to itself, that is the pure Sat, pure existence, the consciousness attending to its own existence, and being watchful of not getting carried away by a thought. And if at all it is getting carried away, and the moment it recognizes, it lets go. It doesn't do anything. It just has to let go, because it is already, when it let goes the thought, it is in the pure Sat. It is as attending to itself. That means it is attending to its own existence. So the whole Atma Vichara, as we practice, Bhagavan makes it very clear that our nature is that changeless truth. And the change is all that we need to be diligently watchful of, because it is the change when these three gunas play, the mind is awake, and then the three gunas have its influence, and therefore we can get carried away in many thoughts, or we can become in laya, as though that there is no thought, or it could be that we can have a mix of dreaming, a very subtle thought sort of a thing. But all of this we have to be watchfully, diligently sleep to it, says Bhagavan, and be completely awake to the truth, because we are the consciousness, this is the pure consciousness. And when the pure consciousness attends to itself, it is attending to its own existence, that it is attending to its own self, its own Sat Swarupa. and being watchful of all the vasanas or the gunas rising. And when it practices this, when this is the understanding, when it is clear and it is practicing it, then the gunatita becomes effortless, because that is the natural state. And as Bhagavan says, all of duality, the whole of thought is, I have to put a lot of effort to think, he says. So it is all effort here. And the truth is effortless. So that becomes very, very clear. The truth is effortless, and the whole of the waking and dream and the sleep that is getting entangled with the mind, giving it a reality, and then taking the body to be further real oneself, that whole thing then is seen as effort. And the truth is effortless. So since we are in the state of effort, Bhagavan has given that effort which frees us, takes us back to the effortless state. And that is by holding on to the Sattva Guna, which is invoked by His grace when we practice the Atma Vichara. To whom is this thought? Who am I? With the abundant grace of Bhagavan, with which alone we have come to this most direct path, for the next 15, 20 minutes, no matter how many thoughts come, and whatever may be the nature of the thought, whether it is good, bad, ugly, or spiritual, we are clear that it is nothing but the mind, and it is our attention to the mind and not to ourself. And therefore, it is giving reality to the gunas and not to the gunatita. And therefore, we should diligently inquire, to whom is this? Who am I? And then the attention, which was outward turned towards the mind, towards the object, turns itself inward onto the substratum, to that pure consciousness, which alone makes every experience possible. It is the light of all light, says Bhagavan and Upanishads. And when we turn to that light and its existence, then the consciousness is attending to its own self. And in that state, when we are very diligently there and very subtly, we don't resist the rise of the thought. Very subtly, if thoughts come, again we inquire and let the thoughts go away, and again attend to ourselves. And by the repeated practice, Bhagavan says that the Sat Swarupa alone is found to be there. And all these gunas and mind was all just a temporary rise and not real. Therefore, it has arisen means, and if it goes away, it is not real. So the one which is real shines forth automatically, says Bhagavan. With His abundant grace, for the next 20 minutes, let us practice Atma Vichara. नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय Morna over to Sarada ka.
Namo Ramana, prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self, manifest as Ramana, in this part of the Satsang, we are meditating on the verses of Ramana Gita, which is a compilation by Ganapati Muni of answers given by Bhagavan to various seekers of truth. We are in the 11th chapter, which is on the subject compatibility between siddhis and jnana. Jnana siddhi samarasya kathanam. And we found that the Muni here is alone with Bhagavan, and before putting the question to him, the Muni is actually describing the glory of Bhagavan. Ramanam stutavan asmi durlabha jnana labdhaye. I praised Bhagavan in order to attain that jnana which is very difficult to attain. So what happens when we praise Bhagavan? Two things happen. One, the more we praise Bhagavan, the more we reaffirm our faith in Bhagavan. When we talk about Bhagavan's grace, so how gracious is Bhagavan? Then at that time, we are actually reaffirming our faith in him. We are reaffirming the fact that everything is all right in this world, because in actual fact, it has to be all right. Everything has to be good, because Bhagavan is in charge. It is his script. It is his unfolding of the script. But we, as limited actors who are able to see only our roles and the roles of a few people who are close to us, we are not able to see the larger picture. We are not able to see the full picture. Because we are not able to see the larger picture, very often we are disturbed by events which are happening. We are not able to see that everything is for the highest good. Sometimes when we look back on our own lives, then we can say, oh, those events which I thought were not so good are actually for the good. Sometimes we can do that in our lives. But sometimes when we look outside at the world, we are not even very sure about things being good. So much of pain seems to be there, so much of sorrow seems to be there. So when we focus our minds on that, a lot of questions come to our mind, a lot of doubts come to our mind. So in order to re-establish our faith in the Master, the Muni is suggesting that we should praise him. When we praise him, how is the Muni praising him? Tvayeva paramanishta, tvayeva vishadamatihi. It begins by praising his Atmanishta. What is it that we would praise in somebody? Something which we feel is very valuable. So when we praise Bhagavan's Atmanishta, then our love for Atmanishta is reaffirmed. When we say how glorious is Bhagavan's Atmanishta, how glorious is the fact that he is ever established in the self, it in somewhere it echoes the fact that I too would like to be like that, Bhagavan. I too would like you to take me to that state. As Sadhu Om Swami says, Kondu Selvare Orudinam Idaya Guhayil Ramana Gurunathan. So that Paramanishta, Tvayeva Paramanishta, Tvayeva Vishadamatihi. Yours is the purest mind. Here, the Muni is also describing how the Jivan Mukta is functioning in the world with the pure mind. Bhagavan says that the mind in its pure state is an Adishaya Shakti. It's an extraordinary power. That is the Aham Spurana. So, Tvayeva Vishada Matihi Ambhasamiva Varashir Vijnananam Tvamaspadam. Ambhasamiva Varashir Vijnananam Tvamaspadam. All knowledge is contained in you the way all water is contained in the ocean. All the rivers spring from the ocean. They come back into the ocean alone. As Bhagavan says in Arunachala Pancharatnam, this entire universe, which is the known, where does it rise from? Bhutva Sthitva Pralinam etat chitram Tvai Arunachala Sarvam chitram Sarvam etat chitram Bhutva Sthitva Pralinam. It is only in you that this entire universe is rising, is sustained, and it subsides into you. So, that is the case. All knowledge is contained in the self. What do we have to seek then apart from the self? That's why Bhagavan says, Tannai aridal indri pinnai edu arihilan. If you don't know yourself, what is it that you have known? Or what is it that you need to know? What is this knowledge that you are seeking? If it is not knowledge of the self, of what use is it? Tannai arindide pin ennai uladariya. What is there to be known once you have known the self? Nothing is there apart from it. Everything is contained in it. See, we apparently seek different things in life. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says there are 4 types of devotees whom I have. 4 types. Artho, the one who is undergoing some difficulties. So freedom from difficulties, freedom from sorrow, freedom from disease, freedom from afflictions such as poverty or some other afflictions. Any afflictions can be there. A difficult situation. There are natural calamities happening in different parts of the world. So freedom from the afflictions of nature, freedom from the afflictions which are inflicted on us by other people around us, freedom from the afflictions which are there in our own body. All this we seek. Artho. The second category, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, is Jignasu, one who is seeking knowledge. One who seeks knowledge turns to me to provide that knowledge. So when we turn to Bhagavan seeking knowledge, why not seek self-knowledge? Because he is the repository of all knowledge, he can show us the path for anything. He can reveal any aspect of worldly knowledge to us. But of what use is it? Now we have the story of Nachiketas, who tells Lord Yama, you may give me all knowledge, you may give me all pleasures, you may give me everything, but it will come to an end. It will ultimately, I have to get back to the doorstep of death or kala or time. Everything is time bound. So when the self is a repository of all knowledge, why not seek the self? So we have, I do not know which Upanishad it is, but that is in that Upanishad begins, teach me that truth by knowing which everything else is known. Teach me that by knowing which everything else is known. So if we know that if there is one all-comprehensive policy, would we not be interested in taking that policy rather than just one policy for A, one policy for B, one policy for C? Today, life is going more towards specialization, more towards something for A, one has to go for the ear to A, one has to go for the nose to somebody else. See, it's a specialization. But in earlier days, we had the comprehensive policy. We had the general physician, the same doctor who would give us medicines for any kind of ailment. So this is like that. It is Sarva Vyadhi Nivarana. Like that, it is Sarva Jnana Pradayaka. It can give us all knowledge. The thought, I don't know this, I don't know that, what shall I do when I don't know A, B, C? That problem does not arise. It is Sarvajna. So, Ambhasa Vijnananam Tvamaspadam, he says. Because if our life is to be spent away in seeking knowledge, why should we turn in so many directions to look for knowledge? Bhagavan gives the story of Roma Maharishi. He says there was a Roma Maharishi who wanted to study all the Vedas, all the 4 Vedas. And Rama Maharishi had a very long span of life. Thousands of years he has. That was his, tens of thousands of years was his lifespan. But he started studying the Veda, and by the end of his lifespan, he could recognize my lifespan is ending, but I have not finished my study of even one Veda. So he prayed to God for an extension. He got one more extension. Then also he could not complete extension equivalent to the first. Okay, so that also is, though his life was doubled, he could not finish studying even one Veda. Then again he asked for a third extension. Still he could not finish studying. He was on the verge of asking for a 4th extension. That night he got a dream. In that dream he saw 4 huge mountains of sugar and one huge ant, very, very huge ant. But the mountains of sugar were far bigger than this ant. And this ant was quickly carrying sugar from one of the mountains and placing it near its own home. Quickly running to and fro, just shifting the sugar from the mountain to the home, to its home. This was the dream. And of course, he had spent 3 lifetimes, of long lifetimes studying the Vedas, so that had not gone in vain. He immediately understood the import of the dream, that God's grace was revealing to him there's no point in simply accumulating more and more and more knowledge. Where is the end to it? It is just like shifting that information which is there in the book into our mind, into our home. It is like shifting that sugar from one place to another, but it is more meaningful to taste at least 1 grain of that sugar. Why not taste it? So it is important to taste it, says Bhagavan. Let us not keep pursuing knowledge, external, objective knowledge for its own sake. Let us rather turn to that source which contains everything. These are reminders which come to us when we praise Bhagavan. That's how the Muni takes us inwards. Tvam tu saptadashe varshe balya eva mahayasha labdhavanasi vijnanam yoginamapi durlabham. And what is your glory, O Ramana? Even when you were 17 years old, you became famous. Why did you become famous? For getting that knowledge which even the yogis find difficult to get. So here, Muni is telling us Bhagavan has come to reveal the simple path. He has come to tell us that just as his attainment is direct, even so, that attainment is available to every one of us. Turning back to the self is available to every one of us because we have surrendered to him, or he has come into our lives by his own grace as a Sadguru, taking us moment to moment to moment, closer and closer and closer to his own being. Therefore, we need not worry about anything because he is the one who has crossed that vast open ocean which even yogis find difficult to cross. He has scaled that peak which even great sadhakas find it difficult to scale. And just when he was a boy of 17. So what is impossible for him? Sarve drishya ime bhava yasya chaya mayastava tasya te bhagavan nishtha konu varnaitum kshamaha. This entire world is only seen in you as a mere chaya esya chaya mayastava tasya sarve drishya ime bhava. All that which is seen, all that which is manifest is a mere shadow in you. So who can describe you? Who can speak of you? All these words, they are not complete descriptions of you, says Muni. Whatever words we may use, whatever words we may use to think about Bhagavan, even to praise him, even to get connected with him, they have their limitations. It is not possible to really talk about the glory of Bhagavan as Bhagavan himself has said in Ulladinarpade. How is one to meditate on God? How is one to do it? So, the only way is to become food unto him. So, to become food, says Bhagavan, become food unto him. Then that is really praising Bhagavan. That is really abiding in Bhagavan. So when we recognize that it's not possible for us to measure him, what does that mean? Even in Arunachala Aksharamanamale, Bhagavan says, Omkara Purul Oppuyar Villoi Unai Yar Aribar Arunachala. How is it possible for us to know him? And is there any need to know him, to understand his ways? Why should we fathom what he has planned, how he plans to execute it? Where is the need for us to comprehend that when he is taking care? It is for us to surrender and simply to enjoy the play of Bhagavan as he opens it out bit by bit, moment by moment, day by day, by his grace. So these are thoughts when we worship, when we praise Bhagavan, we can internalize on our own sadhana in this manner. So, Muni begins this chapter with many verses of praise of Bhagavan. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri.
Namo Ramana. Apara Satchit Sukhavarirakshe Yasyornimatram Bhuvanam Samastam Guhahitam Tam Ramanam Gabhiram Chintavihiram Hridi Chintayami Chintavihinam Hridi Chintayami. Namo Ramana Akka, thank you. Happy
Namo Ramana, thank you.